Hi, I'm Steve G. Jones, clinical hypnotherapist, and I want to tell you a little bit about myself before we get started. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology from the University of Florida, a master's degree in education from Armstrong Atlantic State University, and a doctorate in education from Georgia Southern University. I'm a certified clinical hypnotherapist, a member of both the American Board of Hypnotherapy and the National Guild of Hypnotists, and I'm president of the American Alliance of Hypnotists. I'm the director of the Steve G. Jones School of Clinical Hypnotherapy. I also serve on the board of directors of the American Lung Association in Los Angeles. I have over 2 decades of experience in hypnotherapy, and I still maintain a busy practice and teaching schedule because I see clients and teach classes worldwide. My client base consists mainly of people who want to lose weight, stop smoking, or gain confidence. Other clients include sales teams interested in boosting motivation and increasing income. Also, singles looking for love, insomniacs desiring proper sleep, and actors desiring more confidence for their next audition. When I travel to see clients and teach hypnotherapy certification classes around the world, I visit such places as Tokyo, Japan, Barcelona, Spain, Paris, France, London, England, Montreal, Canada, Los Angeles, California, and New York, just to name a few. By the way, since you have an interest in hypnosis, perhaps you would be interested in becoming a certified clinical hypnotherapist. It's very easy to do. All you have to do is go to my website, betterlivingwithhypnosis.com, and click on Hypnosis Classes at the top. You can either train in person or online. After your training, you'll be added to our worldwide directory of certified clinical hypnotherapists, and you'll receive a certificate. I was fortunate for many years to have my office in Beverly Hills, California, where I worked with such wonderful people as Tom Mankiewicz, the writer of Superman, Geraldine Saunders, the writer of The Love Boat, and many other celebrities. I have been interviewed on CNN, Fox News, and appeared on True TV, in addition to having my own hypnosis TV show. With my over 20 years of experience, I'm happy to share with you techniques that I've both developed and learned, which can help you improve your life. I encourage you to visit my website, betterlivingwithhypnosis.com. There you will find my life's work, 22 books on hypnotherapy, over 3,000 hypnosis recordings available as downloadable MP3s or CDs, and these recordings will program your mind to achieve goals in such areas as weight loss, motivation, and stopping smoking. I also have audiobooks, such as this one, where I'm talking with you and sharing with you in a very dynamic way techniques that you can use to improve your life and the way you do things. The reason I'm telling you all of this is not to impress you, but to impress upon you that I, your teacher, am very capable and I know what I'm talking about. I'm also very happy for the opportunity to share this information with you, so rest assured that you're in good hands, and let's have some fun as we now expand your knowledge. I wish you well in all of your endeavors, and please be sure to visit my website, betterlivingwithhypnosis.com. Welcome to the training program that's going to teach you about psychic protection. Psychic protection is something that's so important in any spiritual work. In fact, even when you're not doing spiritual work, it is very important. The reason for that is that we are vulnerable, if not protected, at any time. Psychically vulnerable if we are not protected any time. The way to ensure against suffering an attack is to protect yourself. Put up a barrier, put up a shield that's going to protect you psychically. So whenever I work with reading Akashic records or reading auras or doing any sort of telepathy work, I always protect myself first by just imagining a shield around me, a shield of white light that protects me. But in this program, I'm going to give you detailed information about psychic protection so that you can understand on the deepest level how psychic protection works. When you think about psychic protection, what do you think about? Do you think about some sort of tribal ritual, perhaps, that conjures up ancestors which will protect you? Do you think about perhaps an evangelical approach with a minister casting out a demon? Do you think about any number of movies you may have seen which portray psychic protection? It's interesting that the ideas that typically come to our minds have a lot to do with religion and have a lot to do with movies. So a lot of the skills required for psychic protection have actually been sort of relegated to religion and movies, and people don't usually think of psychic protection as something that's real, something that you can actually do, something that anyone can do, something that anyone should do. Realize that psychic protection is nothing new. It's not something that just came out recently that you need to upgrade to, for example, on your computer. It's something that's been around as long as humans have been around, and it's something that's been required as long as humans have been around. Now, you don't have to psychically protect yourself, so it's not required in that sense. You will still survive if you don't psychically protect yourself, but it is required if you want to live a life that is more peaceful and more stable and less prone to attacks psychically. I find it interesting that we get so many skills as we grow up. We learn how to brush our teeth, we learn how to comb our hair, we learn how to shower, we learn how to put our clothes on, but typically we're not taught how to protect ourselves psychically. If you go out into the rain, you will perhaps use an umbrella. If you're spending a day at the beach, you will perhaps use sunblock. However, you're always spending a day and a night. You're constantly in the psychic world. You are exposed to the psychic world constantly. Yet so many people do not use psychic protection. And you may perhaps be wondering if psychic protection is even necessary for you. If you've been surviving this long, then why do you need to start using it now? Or perhaps you purchased this program because you feel that psychic protection is a must and you need to know how to make it happen correctly so that you can be as protected as possible. So whereas I'm not setting you up in this program as someone who will be a psychic protector for hire, unless you want to be, of course, but that's not really the purpose of this program. The purpose of this program is very individual. It's designed to give you the strategies and practices that have been used for a long time and that work, and you're going to learn how to use them. So the reality of the situation is that there is a psychic world out there, and it's around you all the time. It's just at a different vibratory rate. That's why most people don't see the psychic world, but it is all around you and within you at all times. At any given time, an entity could be passing by you or even through you without you being aware of it. That's why protection 24 hours a day is important. It's sort of like having an alarm system on your home. You don't have to worry about burglars being in the area if the alarm system is going to properly detect them and deter them. Realize, of course, that we are souls inhabiting bodies, not the other way around. Some people think that they are bodies and maybe they have a soul and maybe not, but they are their physical bodies. Well, that is quite the opposite of reality. Reality is you definitely, 100%, most certainly have a soul. You are, in fact, a soul, and you are in this vehicle that we call a body. Your soul exists in the spirit world. So do spirits, other people's spirits, spirits of people who have passed on, entities which simply lurk about in this spirit world. And because of this, you are very susceptible to psychic attacks. Now, in this program, I do focus quite a bit on the negative aspects of things, and I want you to realize that there's a beautiful spirit world out there. It's a wonderful, beautiful, magical place, but just as with any place that you might be or visit, there are some dangers. This program is going to focus on those dangers mostly because I want you to be aware of them and protect yourself. That's the purpose of this program. But realize, of course, that there is significant beauty to the spirit world. Realize that anything that happens in the spirit world can and probably will have an effect in the physical world. So whereas we may think that they're separate, the spirit world exists and the physical world exists, they are actually linked very closely together. So you can have a disturbance in the psychic world, the world which most people don't even see, and it can manifest itself in the physical world, the world that most people consider to be reality. And that happens whether or not you believe in the spirit world. It's constantly happening. You probably have been exposed to the concept of emotions affecting your physical health. When we feel upset, our immune system can actually suffer, whether we're feeling anxiety or feeling depression or whatever we're feeling. That can actually lower our physical shields, our shields which protect us from microorganisms which are trying to attack us all the time. You see, we're constantly under attack. Our bodies are always under attack from microorganisms which would love to get a stronghold in our bodies. But when our immune system is intact and it's fully charged, it does an outstanding job of warding off these attackers? Well, I want you to realize that your physical body is also under attack, unfortunately. Sorry for all the bad news, but unfortunately it's also under attack from the spirit world. Because when the spirit world has an effect on your soul, that can then have an effect on your physical body. So your physical body is under attack from the spirit world and the physical world. So, whereas this program isn't designed to teach you how to protect yourself physically, I want you to realize that getting plenty of rest, eating properly, getting plenty of exercise, and doing things that you love to do, those 4 factors are going to go a long way in terms of helping you achieve a physically fit body with a very helpful and powerful immune system that's going to take care of most of these physical invaders. What this program is going to focus on is the spiritual aspect of the invasion which is being launched against you, unfortunately, all the time. Just as there are microorganisms in the physical world, there are similar entities in the metaphysical world. Believe it or not, your actions affect the world around you, and you've probably seen that happen. You can do something quote-unquote good or quote-unquote bad that can have an effect. And sometimes things that you think that you're doing that are good have a negative effect. Isn't that shocking? We think we're helping someone. Sometimes it backfires on us. Sometimes it has a negative effect, and it ruins your day and then everyone's day around you because of that, and it kind of ripples outward. Usually when we set out to do something that we consider to be good, everything works out and people benefit. But it doesn't always go that way. The point of this is that we have an effect on our physical world. The things we do have an effect. You can see it as an immediate effect, such as mowing your lawn, and your lawn is suddenly mowed, and maybe your neighbors are inspired by that, and they want to mow their lawns also. A positive effect in the physical world. And you can also see that in larger examples, such as when celebrities do charity work, and people see that and they're inspired by that, then large organizations want to be part of that too, so they want to get on the bandwagon and help out with that charity. The next thing you know, the charity is able to help many more people because they've got a lot more money coming in. So we see positive effects on a small scale and on a large scale all the time. That's fairly straightforward because things that happen in the physical world are easy to observe and they make logical sense. That when people see something good being done, they want to do good, for example. Also, when people see something bad being done, they want to do something bad. When they see people breaking windows, sometimes they want to take part in it. Next thing you know, there's a riot going on. And there's usually some unifying cause behind that. And that can ripple outward and have negative effects. Some things that we do can have negative effects for years, sometimes for the rest of our lives, just as the positive things that we do can have positive effects for the rest of our lives. Now, it doesn't always go that way. It's not guaranteed that when you do something that you think is good, that it's going to have a positive effect. But you realize my point, which is the things you do have an effect on your environment. You're not living in a vacuum. You're not living your own life. You may think you're doing your own thing and living your own life and not affecting anyone, but no matter who you are, no matter where you live, no matter how you live, you are having an effect on other people. But you're also having a psychic effect. And a lot of times the things that happen in this world happen as a result of psychic effects and not physical effects. When you think things, that thought goes out into the universe. And if you haven't already watched it, watch the movie The Secret, which explains how this works. Your thought goes out into the universe. Now, this doesn't happen through email. This doesn't happen through regular mail. This doesn't happen through you telling a bunch of people and them telling all their friends and so on. This happens psychically through simply thinking it. Simply thinking it radiates outward in a ripple effect to the entire universe. Isn't that amazing? Doesn't that give you a sense of importance and at the same time an extreme sense of responsibility? Wait a minute, all the things that I think are affecting the entire universe all the time? Yes, to some degree they certainly are. And the more people who think the way you do, the greater the effect. That's why so many people are interested in getting people to think a certain way, both positively and negatively. We see examples of that all the time. But mainly we see this in the spiritual community, people attempting to get other people to think positive thoughts so that we can achieve things such as world peace. so that we can have understanding, so that we can have unity, so that humans can get along. Have you ever heard of those groups who will send out emails and they tell everyone that, okay, Tuesday at 12 o'clock, we're going to think this. Now, make sure you get it right in your time zone. Make sure you understand which time zone we're in and so forth. And they make sure that everyone's on the same page, doing something at the exact same time, whatever it is. And then they're supposed to think that thought at the same time. And generally, it's something positive. Sometimes people want to form those groups for their own entertainment, to have everyone think something funny or something silly. But generally, it's something that's very positive and a purifying thought that's designed to go out to the universe, having everyone transmitting the same thought at the same time, going out to the universe and making a change, affecting other people in a positive way. But I want you to realize that whether you're part of one of these groups or whether you're acting as an individual, your thoughts are constantly affecting the universe. So I want you to start paying attention to what you think. I want you to make sure that you're not polluting the airwaves, if you will. I want you to make sure that you're not the source of anything that somebody else is going to need psychic protection from. You see, we always start with cleaning up our own backyards, and then we're able to live as examples for other people who may or may not want to clean up their own backyards. Who knows? But if we set an example for other people, they can see it. They can follow us or not. They can follow the pattern or not. But when you do this psychically, you have a greater impact because it's sort of like hypnosis. You're reaching down to a very deep level. So rather than announcing it to the world, whatever your intention is, when you psychically announce it, it's at a deeper level. And it goes further and it goes faster. So let's take a look at some ways that you can start thinking about your own thoughts. Some ways that you can take responsibility for your own thoughts. I want you to go down this checklist from time to time. I don't want you to use it during every single thought process you have all throughout the day, because if every thought process that you have is subjected to this list, well, you're going to find yourself reviewing the list all day and not getting much done. So every now and then, just ask yourself these simple questions. Who does this serve? Who does this serve? In other words, what you're doing, does it actually help anyone? Does it help you in any way? The idea is getting at the intention behind what you're doing, or the intention behind what you're thinking. Maybe you're holding a thought, holding onto a grudge perhaps, holding on to some concept. Who does it serve? Next question. Are my intentions my own? In other words, if I have the idea that I'm going to go to the gym every day at 3 o'clock, did that idea come from me? Or am I doing that to make someone else happy? Could I be getting the same exercise in another way that's more appropriate for me, such as riding a bike or swimming or working out at home? So start to look at the things that you do. Who's behind that? And you can even expand this to a higher level. Think about your career. Who's behind that? Who decided that you should be whatever you are? Did you decide that, or did somebody else? Does somebody think that you should be that? Do you really want to be that? Is that really who you are? If you're not being who you really are, then you are sending out pollution into the psychic world because you're going to hold a grudge about it. It's going to feel incongruent. It's not going to fit. And there's going to be that constant tension that radiates outward from you. Something else to think about? How will my intentions affect others? How will my intentions affect others? A lot of times we think about how they're going to affect us. If I think this or do this, what will I get from it? How will it hurt me? How will it help me? And more specifically, you can ask yourself, who will be harmed by this? If you're holding on to a grudge, who will be harmed by that? Doing something that you don't want to do, who will be harmed by that? And here's one that's right on the nose. What are the consequences of my actions? Both actions that I intend to take and actions I'm taking and actions I'm going to take. What are the consequences of my actions? And here's one that's similar to one I previously shared with you, but it's a little different. What motivates what I do? What motivates what I do? In other words, does it come from inside or does it come from outside? See, sometimes it's not people who cause us to do certain things. Sometimes it could be circumstances. Sometimes it could be something that happened a long time ago that makes us think that we have to do things a certain way. Sometimes people have been hurt in a relationship, for example, so they think that they should do things a certain way to be more cautious so they don't get hurt. Well, how does that play out? A lot of times they meet the next person and they bring all that baggage into the next relationship, thinking the next person's going to be like that person years ago, and it's going to be just as bad for them So they have all these prejudices against the new person. Well, the new person may be the greatest person in the world, but they'll never get a chance to show it because of these thoughts that the person's holding on to. So I want you to start thinking about these things. I want you to stop being a litter bug. I want you to take responsibility for your thoughts. I want you to start putting some good stuff out there. One of the things I want you to take away from this program is the ability to find entities who can protect you. And the way you're going to do this is by meditating. I want you to meditate on this. Now, meditation can be very straightforward. If you've taken any of my meditation programs, you know that you can even do meditation on the go. But what I want you to do, if you don't already have a meditative routine, is I want you to sit in a quiet place, and I want you to close your eyes. And you can sit any way you want. You can sit with your legs crossed. You can sit with your legs straight out. You can even lie down if you want. It doesn't matter. And I want you to just close your eyes, and I want you to imagine a lake. Now, of course, you wouldn't do this when you're driving. So if you're driving now, do this later. I'm just telling you how to do it now. It's very straightforward. Meditation is very straightforward. It doesn't require a lot of fancy things to make it happen. So you're sitting or lying down with your eyes closed, and all you have to do is imagine a lake. And the lake, at first, may seem a little choppy, may seem a little ripply. It may even be raining or storming on the lake. Who knows? That lake represents your emotional state and how calm or non-calm you feel. I want you over the period of about 10 minutes to let that lake get as calm as it's going to get. Not by focusing on it being calm, but instead by letting it be unruly. Let it get way out of hand. If there's a storm, let it be a big storm. If there's a ripple, let it turn into a tidal wave. That's okay. You're letting everything play out. It's sort of like when you want to relax physically. Best way to do that is to tense all of your muscle groups. Tense them really tightly and then let them go. Tense your chest, tense your legs, tense every different muscle group and then let it relax. What are you doing? You're taking away all its tense energy. You're letting it use it up all at once, and then you're letting it relax. Okay, I see some tension there. I feel it in my right leg. I'm going to tense that right leg as hard as I can. Then I'm going to relax it. It's the same concept with imagining the lake. That's why I say if there's a ripple, let it turn into a tidal wave. Really tense it up. Let it play out. And then just let yourself relax. Let yourself relax. So I don't want you to focus on making the lake calm. I want you to focus on letting the lake do whatever it's going to do. And it's going to calm down all by itself. It's going to get as calm as it's going to get in about 10 minutes. So I want you to do that. And then I want you to open your mind. I want you to open your mind to calling out for your spiritual protectors. And I want you to listen. Maybe there'll be a voice, maybe there'll be a feeling, maybe there'll be a vision, but whatever it is, you're going to know that your spiritual protectors are there. You are protected at all times. You just haven't realized it, and you haven't always tapped into it. And sometimes, in the past, believe it or not, you've worked so hard against your protection that you made it really challenging for the spiritual protectors to protect you. But now everybody's getting on the same page. So call out to them, and it can be something along the lines of spiritual protectors, where are you? You don't have to say it out loud, you can just think it. Or spiritual protectors, come to me. Or spiritual protectors, let me know you're there. There's no limit to the number of spiritual protectors you can have. You can have one, or you can have 10,000 or more. It doesn't really matter. Typically, people have between 1 and 4, but that's not written in stone. You can have as many or as few as you want, but at least get one. At least make contact with one. Now, it's not going to be necessary to have a constant communication with your spiritual protector. Your spiritual protector knows what to do. I just want you to know that they're there. So I want to give you something that you can use on the go. Meditation, if you're not used to it, should be done in a quiet place with your eyes closed. But your psychic protection is not going to be limited like that. Using meditation to contact your spiritual protectors is fine. You really only need to do it one time. But using meditation, in other words, going to a private room, settling down, relaxing, and so forth, to protect yourself psychically, that's not really practical. Because if every time you feel like you're under attack, and sometimes you won't even know you're under attack, if every time that happens you have to go to a private room and calm this lake down and relax and so forth, well, by that time, the damage could be done. So you need to have psychic protection all the time. You need to have something that can be used on the streets, can be used anytime. It can be used while you sleep. So realize that the heart of psychic protection is keeping yourself sound, physically, mentally, and emotionally. The way you do this is by dealing with challenges when they arise. If someone's bothering you, you need to talk to them about that. Keeping things pent up is going to lower your shields, both physically and psychically. If there's something that you need to do, you need to do it. You need to take care of it. Stop letting things control you and start controlling things. Take care of them. A wise person once said that you should take care of the most difficult thing first. That way, everything else seems easy and you're not focusing on the most difficult thing. You're getting it out of the way. If you've got something to do that's really bothering you, just go ahead and do it. As long as it's good for you, go ahead and do it. Get it out of the way. Also, you need to start taking care of yourself. I talked about the 4 basic components to keeping your immune system intact. That's something physical that you can do. You also need to get used to waking up in the morning and making sure your shield is intact. And all that requires is for you to wake up and imagine a white light surrounding you, surrounding your entire body, understanding that your soul is contained within that area. So white light, like a sphere, like a big ball surrounding you, and you are inside it. I want you to imagine that when you wake up. That is your psychic protection. And I want you to imagine that anything that comes at you, any negativity, anything anyone says that's negative or mean, or any negative feelings you get from other people, or a negative look, or anything like that, bounces off and away from the shield that you've put around yourself. Every now and then, not constantly, but every now and then I want you to think about that shield that's around you. Not just when things are not going well, but even when they are. Think about that shield. It's not necessary to constantly dwell on it 24 hours a day. You can go to sleep and it will be intact. But by thinking about it occasionally, let's say 3 times a day, I want you to consciously think about it. You're going to energize it. The more you energize it, the more powerful it becomes. Now, I want you also to pay attention to how energized you are, to how much energy you have, how much power you have, because your psychic shield is going to be dependent upon that. If you have abundant energy, abundant power, you are going to feel energized and your psychic shield is going to be up. Now, when I say power, I'm not talking about power over others or being a powerful person in the world, a mover and shaker, if you will. I'm not talking about that kind of power. I'm just talking about the natural power that you are going to feel as a result of having energy because of living your life in tune with what you really want to do, being an honest person, being a helpful person, having positive intentions. So here's some things to look out for. These are symptoms that maybe your power is dropping a little bit. First of all, a feeling of powerlessness. If you simply feel powerless, you've got to do some soul searching and find out why. Chances are you're not in alignment somewhere in your life. Feeling a disconnection between yourself and other people. Feeling as if you lack control or you're not equal to others. Feeling as though bad things always happen to you. You ever run into somebody like that? Or maybe you've been that person from time to time where bad thing happens and then another thing happens and so forth and so on. By the way, I don't necessarily embrace the concepts of good and bad, but I do believe there are things that kind of take away our power, and those are quote-unquote bad things. And there are also things that are very positive for us and others. Those are what I would call good things. What about always struggling, always feeling behind, and always struggling? You need to address that if that's happening because that will zap your power. What about having illnesses? You need to look into that. If you're not working with a doctor, I suggest getting a physician's advice, at least, about how you can improve your health. What about overworking yourself? You need to relax. What about vacations? What about living a fearful life? What about always being afraid of things or always suspicious about others' intentions? That's no way to live. You've got to look into that. You've got to resolve that. So look for these things. Look for these things in your life. And if they're there, I want you to start addressing them because these are challenges that are going to affect you physically and psychically. And they're also going to affect all the rest of us. It's all part of cleaning up that pollution. So look into these things. And if any of them are resolvable, if you can take care of any of these things and handle them and get them out of your way, by all means do that. Resolve them. Get them behind you. Get them out of your way. Get them out of our way so that your shields can be up and you can be a happier person.